My name is Claire Aleman. I'm the Director of Strategic Relations for Kaatsu. And we received an email from you this last week, and we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about it and what's going on with you. Let's start with your name and how you heard about Kaatsu.
My name's Puja Bansal, and I heard about Kaatsu from the internet. I was researching some modalities for my dad to help him with his recovery, and I came across blood flow restriction, and then I came across Kaatsu. So that's how I initially found out about you guys.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit of background about your dad and what he's been going through and kind of how you got here.
Yeah, so my dad just turned 80, but over the last 4 years, he's had lots of surgeries. And I think about 3 years ago, he fractured his tibia, and the doctors had to go back and reattach. They had to cut a little bit of his bone because there was an infection in the bone. They fused two bones together, so his tibia was refused together, which resulted in his leg sort of turning a little bit crooked, so turning towards the inside, and then him not being able to walk. That resulted in more pain. He had to go back and get that leg straightened out. But as a result of having multiple surgeries, he started to have a lot of discharge coming out of that leg. So there was constant pus discharge. He was in constant pain. He also, on that same leg, he had to have that. He has had a knee replacement. He had to have that redone. And even after that knee replacement, he was in constant pain. He had there would be an area on his leg that would sort of swell up like a little round wound, and then that would discharge pus. So this is, the last 3 years of him going back and forth to doctors, to the point where this last year, I contacted one of my friends who was a physio in Singapore because I used to live there, and he said, so he sent my dad's x-rays to, the leading orthopedic doctors in Singapore, and they said, your dad has three options. First option is for him to continue taking low-dose antibiotics for the rest of his life. Second option was for them to reopen that entire leg and then clean out whatever wound was happening, figuring out what was happening inside that leg. And option three was an amputation. And they told me that this surgery was going to be so complex because I was hoping to take my dad to Singapore, thinking, he hasn't had the help in India. Mm-hmm. I could maybe transport him to Singapore. They actually told me this surgery is going to be so complex, don't bring him here. So At the end of the day, we ended up going for option number two, amputation. We were told by doctors in India as well, get that leg amputated. It's constantly creating infections. If that infection spreads somewhere else to his heart, his brain, he's going to be brain dead. So what ended up happening was he ended up having that leg opened up. They cleaned up the wound. They stitched everything back. The knee replacement was fine. But in the meantime, I ended up going back to India, and because I had run out of every option. We had talked about diet. We had talked about, he was unable to exercise. He was pretty much laying on what I told Barrett was his deathbed because he just couldn't get out of bed, go anywhere. And so in that meantime, I came to India, brought the Kaatsu bands, and we started using the Kaatsu bands. And within the 5 minutes of him using the Kaatsu bands, I was telling Barrett about this as well. The first thing I noticed was that he started chatting more. He became very chatty. And I noticed this with my mom as well.
So when was this? When did you arrive in India with the bands?
December 17th.
December. Okay.
And the last surgery he had, which was them opening up the leg, was November. In October, I think it was October or end of September, that's when they straightened that leg. So he's
Okay.
had several surgeries. I think he's had about 5 surgeries. I've lost
Like
track. He's honestly
recently. Yeah.
recently. So this has been
Yeah.
non-stop surgeries. So I arrived December 15th with the Kaatsu bands. He had
Wow.
just had a knee replacement on the other leg as well because his legs, there were so many problems going on with his legs. And then slowly and gradually, he started gaining strength. He started talking more. It took about 2.5 weeks for him to start getting out of bed. But when he started getting out of bed, he started walking with a walker. And I don't know, I'm
When
cutting
was the
this.
last time before this that you had seen your dad like walk with a walker? Like, what has been the progression of like, he's been bedridden for quite a bit, correct?
He's been bred. So I went there last July, and both his legs were like shaped like this, and he was
That's
barely able to
crazy.
walk. He would just walk from his bed to the dining table, have his like meals, and then go back into bed. And so that was the last time I saw him. And then we knew, me and my brother
Yeah.
knew we had to do something about this. And so my brother went back to India and got all the surgeries. So he was there for all the surgeries. I was kind of there for all the
Yeah.
recovery. But just, I mean, we really thought, Claire, that this was the end for him, and
Oh, yeah.
we wanted him to be out
You
of
guys had
pain.
exhausted a lot of resources, and I know how that is as a mom of someone that my son had cancer, and like I know what that's like to be just on the internet, just looking
Yeah,
for hope,
yeah,
looking for
yeah.
anything that will work or that can make just the slightest difference. So when you got Katsu, your expectation was, I'm just going to try and do anything. I'm going to see if this
Yeah, at
works.
that Yeah,
And when
at
you
that
put it
point
on
I had.
him, he was chattier. He kind of perked up. But how long before he was walking and you noticed a huge difference? Because in your email, it was like, I mean, we were so moved by your email because, and we hear stories about this kind of thing a lot, but yours was particularly moving because of how quickly it happened. And
Yeah,
we're
so
like,
I would say
wow,
from the beginning to from when I arrived, when he started the Katsu bands, I think I waited like a day or two to even give it to him because I was like, he's just gone through so
yeah,
much. He's just not going to want to do another thing. But I think it was
yeah,
like 3 days later, I brought out the bands. I said, Dad, let's try these bands. We've tried everything else. Nothing's working.
hmm,
Um, he was on a catheter when I arrived, and within 5 days of just switching around his diet, he got off the catheter. So I think it was
wow,
after those 5 days that he started using the bands because he could actually put those bands on his leg.
yeah,
And then it was 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, where he was able to walk again. And that time from when he started using the bands to 2.5 weeks later, I started to see an improvement in muscle growth, an improvement in his mood. He was starting to talk more. He was starting to remember things from 50 years ago that he had never told me. So, it was just such a progression and such a huge improvement in his health to where we hadn't seen that in the last 4 years. And it's hard to have a parent live so far away to
yeah,
where you don't have control over anything. When he would say the doctors asked me to take this medication, I would say, okay, fine, just take it, try it. But,
hmm,
I did say, I said, we're going to stop taking all the medications that have not helped you, and let's
yeah,
just focus on getting some exercise in. So initially he started with just the bands, body weight, bicep curls, shoulder presses. And then,
yeah.
within 2 weeks, he was lifting 1 kilo weights.
Oh my
But
gosh.
there was nothing that brought that kind of improvement to where, I mean, we were all in a shock. I cannot believe it that, I actually thought I'd lost my dad to now where the
hmm.
latest video that he sent me was him sitting on a stationary bike, like just
I love
rolling
it.
his
We're gonna need to
legs.
see that. Send that.
Yeah, I
I
will. I
love it.
absolutely will. But I think, this is where I feel like there's so much we don't know about the human body. And I mean, I know that when Dr. Sato first started, researching the Katsu bands, it was literally on the elderly, on just, whole
Hmm.
body vibration. But I feel like this is where, its efficacy shines is with individuals who don't have the mobility, who don't have
Yeah.
the energy or the body to go and exercise in a gym, to where my dad literally started from sitting on a bed to just doing, calf raises, just putting his legs up and down, to just simple bicep curls, shoulder presses, to now being able to walk with a walker, to now he's walking with a stick. He doesn't even want to use the walker anymore because he's
I
like,
love
I
it.
look old in a walker. And I was like, Dad, you cannot let go of the walker. I'm terrified that, you're going to fall down. But he's
He's
like, no, I'm
feeling
going to be fine.
confident.
Yeah, he's
I
feeling
love it.
confident. So,
I
I mean,
love it.
it's been an amazing journey. And I'm just so, I'm so amazed at what Katsu has been able to do, but also really blessed that I had the knowledge to give to him. I had the resources to be able to help him with this, because I know there's a lot of people who don't have that.
Yeah.
But I absolutely believe that it has the potential to change anybody's life. It really does.
Well, we agree. We think that, I mean, like I said, we hear stories all the time, of similar, recoveries and people that use it that, like you said, that don't have the ability to go to a gym or to even
Yeah.
walk. And they have that desire to have that healing or to have any kind of hope, right? And it
Hmm.
seems to me that Katsu kind of gave your dad that little push because he's motivated. It seems like he's a motivated guy and he wants to be well and to be healthy. And
Yep,
sometimes that's a huge part of this, is just the
absolutely.
wanting it. And we're so grateful that you did your research for your dad and that you're advocating for him from across the world, and that
Yeah.
you're trying to help him. And look at what you guys did together. And I think that's such an amazing story of not only recovery but a healing, and that you were willing to go the extra mile for your dad too. And that's such a huge part of the story too. And we're proud of both of you. We're really, really, really excited for you guys. And it's like, I think people, to have a daughter like you, what a blessing that you were willing to, go that extra mile for your dad. So you're a huge part of this story too. But we would love to see pictures. We'd love to see videos. And
Yeah.
we're happy that we're more than happy. We're so excited for you. And we're so excited that he was able to see benefits so quickly. And we're hoping that that continues. We can't wait to follow this story more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
And so
hoping that
currently, is he
continues
using Katsu every day still, or how's
every
he?
day, twice a day.
Love it. And he's just
He's not,
on it,
I'm not going to let him give up on that. I mean,
right?
you know, working on his nutrition has been difficult, but I will say that he's motivated to use those Katsu bands every day, because probably he knows what has given him the quality of life. He knows that it's all combined, that he has to eat well, he has to exercise, he has to keep his
Mm-hmm.
mindset healthy. So I think it's everything. You have to do everything in combination. It's
Yeah.
my dad was not one of those persons who exercised all his life. It was later on, when we all got older, to where he's like, okay, I should go for walks. I should start going to the gym. And it wasn't a very regular thing. It was, oh, when I have time. But I think we understand that, at least our generation understands that
Yeah.
exercise is a huge part of keeping yourself healthy. We're not just talking about 50s, 60s, 70s. We know that we're going to live longer than our ancestors have. We know that we're going to, like women, the
Mm-hmm.
average life expectancy of a woman is now 95. So how do we keep ourselves healthy as we
Yeah.
age?
Mobile.
Um, Mobile, being able to get
Huge.
off of a chair, get off of a
Mm-hmm.
bed. And that's what it started off with, and I think it's really helped me understand how much more we need to do, because I
Mm-hmm.
exercise every day. And I'm now starting to wonder, is that
And now
truly
he's
enough?
inspiring you.
Yeah, exactly. Because,
All of
I'm
us.
so proud. Yeah, exactly. I do my resistance training every day. I do my cardio
Yeah.
whenever, like 4 times a week. But is that enough? Is that enough for
Mm-hmm.
me to live healthy into my 90s? So I think if we could merge and marry all these modalities, nutrition, Katsu,
Mm-hmm.
mindset, community, all of that, I just think life would be so much better for all
We
of us.
agree. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think part of that is when we find things that help us, or that
Mm.
help our dad, and we share those
Yeah.
with others. This is like, that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
We saw something that was amazing and that helped your dad immensely, and we're going to share that with other people, and other people are going to use it, and they're going to have awesome results, and we're kind of just pushing it forward, right? And everyone's
Yeah.
going to benefit. So we're so grateful that you reached out to us, and we're so thankful that your dad is doing well. And like I said, we want to see pictures. We want to share whatever you're willing to share, because we're just as excited as you. And so thank you so much, Puja,
Likewise.
for joining us, and thank you for sharing your dad's story and your story. We're so grateful.
Thank you, Claire. This has been amazing.
It's super nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks again.